Play the music. I had to do it. I had to absolutely do this. Happy Halloween. Super excited for our discussion today because just like Michael Myers, man, we are ending the old era of negotiating. Let me get this down. Let me get this down. Get this out of here, Michael Myers. I'm really excited today, and we are going to be talking about the new era, the end of an old era of negotiating when it comes to real estate sales and what that means for sellers specifically. I do want to apologize ahead of time. I am definitely feeling a little bit under the weather. It's been a struggle to get through the day, but I'm here. I'm dedicated to making sure that bring you that valuable content all about selling your home and everything around selling and the real estate market and what is happening. And I'm super excited again today because I'm going to talk about negotiating and selling your home and how it is different now in 2024 going into 2025. And again, I mean, the old ways are of the past. And I believe that. I do believe that. And I also believe that there is a new way to sell real estate, and there is a new way for sellers to essentially make more money, right? And I wanted to wait to do this. I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of evidence. I've heard stories of sellers making more money. I've actually had that experience personally with a client. So I want to bring that to you. And my whole goal for the conversation today is to talk about real estate and selling your property moving forward in 2025 and exactly what has changed and how sellers are taking advantage of that. And, you know, the big thing when it comes to selling your home, especially with sellers, is, and I have to take you back in order for you to understand what it actually means now. So when I got into real estate, um, the model was you sit down with the seller, right? I'm sitting down with you. We're at the dining room table or the kitchen table in your home. I'm going over everything that I am going to do for you to get your property sold. And the difficult part comes up, right? And I hate talking about money. A lot of people hate talking about money, right? Nobody wants to talk about money unless like you're a financial advisor or you're really wealthy, right? But it's just one of those uncomfortable conversations. And, it was for me to start because at the beginning it's like, what value do I have to bring to you, right? Why are you hiring me to sell your house, to represent you? And obviously those things have changed. I've been in the business now for almost 9 years, so actually for 9 years a little bit more. But that conversation came up, right? And you have to talk about commissions, right? And the commission has always been negotiable. At least it was here in PA. I believe it is in every other state. It's always been negotiable. And the issue that came up was essentially agents not being able to articulate that, right? Here's the fact, like, this is the commission that I charge. It is negotiable. I want to go, which way do you want to go, right? So I'm not going to use percentages. I'm not going to use dollar amounts. I'm going to use bananas, right? Because I don't want to say anything that gets anyone in trouble, especially myself, right? So I would say to you, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I went over all this information. This is what I'm going to do for you to help get your property sold. This is my marketing strategy. These are the comps. Here we're going to list it, start at this price, blah, blah, blah. But for my compensation, I charge 6 bananas. And of those 6 bananas, I know that a vast, vast, vast majority, actually, I would say 95% or more of situations, is that a buyer's agent is going to bring a buyer through your property. They are representing the buyer. I'm representing you as the listing agent. And a portion of the 6 bananas that you pay me goes to my brokerage, and then the other portion goes to a buyer's agent. Okay. And that's just how it was done. That was the way that I was taught to do it. And there was never really an opportunity for the seller to negotiate what they want to pay out essentially to a buyer's agent, right? It was always, this is my fee, and I split it up however I want to split it up between my brokerage and the buyer's broker. So what happened is, and again, this is why I need to go back and show you, really take you back to this past month, really. Actually, it's actually past 2 months, right? Because the changes took place October 17th, right? So there was a lawsuit that happened through National Association of Realtors. And I'm going to make sure that I bring this up for you, and I want to share so you can see exactly what I'm saying. This is actually an article I wrote, put it on my blog about the NAR lawsuit, right? So the legal land case, the challenges longstanding commission practices in real estate industry. It was filed against the National Association of Realtors and several major brokerages, which the lawsuit alleges that these entities conspired to inflate commission rates, particularly those paid by home sellers to buyers agents. So that was the lawsuit. A bunch of these sellers banded together, hired a big law firm to come after NAR and these big brokerages because they thought they were inflating the commission rates. There is no standard commission. There has never been a standard commission. You know, if you probably know what that percentage is that a lot of people decided to charge the client that they were working with. And the recent settlement marks a significant shift in how commissions will be handled and disclosed moving forward, potentially leading to lower costs for sellers and more transparency in transactions. I think that's great. I am a big proponent of this. I do believe that everything that, not everything, I shouldn't say everything because there's a lot of this that I don't agree with, but transparency is fantastic in my opinion because there's been such a lack of transparency, right? There's been a huge lack of transparency from real estate agents to consumers. And I don't think it was done maliciously. I just think it was done because the majority of real estate agents aren't trained well and they don't do a great job. I think the most recent stat was half the people who have a real estate license haven't sold a home all year, right? Excuse me. I've been coughing all day. So there is a small percentage of realtors, real estate agents who take this profession very seriously and they do an amazing job, right? But again, it's such a small percent. The vast majority of people that who are licensed real estate agents probably aren't the best, right? And it's just, that's the industry, right? And that's one of the most frustrating things for me. Just being in this industry, being a licensed real estate broker as well, is that the bar for entry is just so low. It's so low, and pretty much anyone can get licensed and then sell a $500,000 home the next month, right, or the next week. So things needed to change. I understand that, but these changes directly impact how people sell their homes, which is what I'm talking about today. Traditionally, sellers have been responsible for paying both their agent's commission and the buyer's agent's commission. And now that is decoupled. And we're going to talk a lot about that. However, the new rules emerging from the settlement, sellers may no longer be automatically required to pay a buyer's agent's fee. This shift could lead to different pricing strategies, more negotiating over commissions, which is amazing in my opinion, and a need for sellers to be more selective when choosing their agents, right? So this is a flight to quality, not a flight to quantity, right? We don't need more real estate agents. We need more great trained real estate agents. We need less. Oh my gosh, it's going to be tough to get through. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, as a result, selling home will involve new financial considerations and potentially more complex decision makings. Oh man, I am so sorry. Oh no, no costume today. Sorry, Jenny. I forgot to put it on. But here we go. Let's get into the meat and bones of it. That I just really wanted to set the stage there to let you know about how real estate commissions were handled before. And now we're really going to get into how they are handled now, how they are handled moving forward. Let me share my screen. If you've been on these streams, I like to do a little bit of PowerPointing. Actually, we're going to call it Canvaing. I like Canva. Canva's cool. So the overview, I just went over that today on the agenda, what I'm going to be discussing with you, the first part I already went over. Now we're going to talk about changes to co-op compensation. Then after that, buyers and what they're focused on, because it's a lot different than what it was before, because they're focused more on long-term value. And I'm really excited to get into that portion. Talked a little bit about transparency and how it's the key in today's market, and being transparent, not just with commissions, right? Because this is about how selling and negotiating your home is going to be different moving forward. So I'm not just talking about the commissions. I'm also talking about your home itself. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what buyers want and the flight to them wanting more move-in ready, and then also digital marketing and professional media, and how that is absolutely key moving forward to really set your property up, right? And that's what I want people to understand, that your home and how it presents is the most important thing moving forward. So here's the change in the buyer agent commission, right? So again, the co-op compensation, there is no more publicly on the MLS um, compensation that is offered to a buyer's agent. Okay. So essentially, for sellers, and this is what I'm doing moving forward, talking to my clients, I'm having the conversation. We're talking about commissions. I'm saying, hey, this is what I charge. I'm offering different levels of services too. So for this many bananas, this many bananas, this many bananas, this. And I'm saying you have the ability to choose, right? Flexible home options. That's the name of my company. That's what it's all about, giving people multiple different options to sell their home, right? It's not just a one size fits all thing. The vast majority of real estate agents can only do one thing, right? That's why you really have to seek out the great ones who are able to offer more than one option, right? And I've been doing this for a long time. So it's coming at a great time to actually launch flexible home options, right? And to, again, just to give sellers multiple options to sell their home, right? Flexible tiered commission packages, selling for cash, subject to, like, all kinds of different opportunities for sellers to sell their property. Because look, everyone is in a different situation. Every single seller is in a different situation, and it's not a one size fits all. And someone could want a cash offer, someone could want to just list and get the highest amount of money. There's so many different things. But when it comes to co-op compensation, this is very important, right? In the new market landscape, sellers are no longer required to offer compensation to a buyer's agent up front. And this is really important for you to know as a home seller, to be empowered and to really set yourself up to negotiate from a great standpoint, right? Because we don't want to let people know what we're willing to give out, because what happens now and moving forward is the buyer's agent has to have an agreement with their buyer. In that agreement, it states what is the amount, whatever it is, whether it's a percent or a flat fee, that the buyer has to pay the buyer's agent. Okay. That's how it is moving forward. The buyer's agent and the buyer have their contract, and that's it. So as a seller, you and I representing you, we don't know what is in that contract between the buyer and seller, or between the buyer and the buyer's agent. Okay. We have no idea, right? So when we're listing your home and putting it on the market, we don't want to disclose any information up front. And this is obviously, there's always different situations, right? And this isn't a one size fits all thing, right? With what I'm saying, but in the vast majority of situations, and this is what I'm going to be advising my clients on, is the fact that you don't want to disclose that up front, because the buyer could say that they're willing to cover the entire commission. And then the buyer's agent's job is to essentially have the seller cover that fee, right? But the seller doesn't have to anymore. So what I'm telling buyers agents now is, okay, whatever you need, I've spoken with my client, and it's not that we're not willing to give anything in terms of concession or commission, but put it in the offer. Whatever you need, make sure that you put it in the offer. Because here's the deal. If you are saying upfront, I'm willing to pay 3 bananas to a buyer's agent. Well, the buyer could have already said, "Hey, I'm willing to pay this to you. You don't need to get it from the listing agent or you don't need to get it from the seller. I'm willing to already pay you this because I really need a house," right? If you're in a super competitive area, I really need a house. I have the funds to do this. I'm willing to pay you. And the buyer's agent saying, "This is great. Also, it's my job to make sure that I try and get it from the seller." So if that buyer is already willing to pay their buyer's agent whatever percentages, so and then you're offering it out, that essentially means that you have given away potentially 3 bananas, right? Because you're already offering it up front. And the buyer's agent seeing this and saying, "Oh, this is great. My buyer doesn't actually have to pay me." So they're going to save the 3 bananas. Whereas now, if you're offering it up front, you're already saying that you're willing to pay instead of negotiating it, right? And there's a lot of situations, there's a lot of different situations that are going to happen. For me, it was a situation where um representing a client, and I told him all this. I gave him my professional advice, and I said, "I believe this is what you should do." So we listed their home, got it on the market, and we were able to receive this offer. And in the offer, they said they wanted whatever percent. And my clients came back and said, "No, we're not paying that percent. We want to go lower, much lower." They actually said they didn't want to pay anything at all. I was like, we should just negotiate. We should try and budge a little bit. And they went much lower. And then the buyer came back and said, "Hey, we'll go to here." And I was like, "Okay, this is good." And my client said, "Okay, we want to go less than that." And we were able to settle on less. And I can divulge more information later. But essentially, pre August 17th, if we were just offering it out, my client would have given more than what we were able to negotiate. So my client actually made more money from this because I told the buyer's agent to put it in the offer. Whatever kind of compensation you want, you need to put it in the offer. That's what it needs to be moving forward. Put it in the offer, okay? This gives the seller so much more opportunity to negotiate and to not pay out whatever that full amount used to be to a buyer's agent, right? Because again, the buyer and the buyer's agent have to have a contract that states that the buyer has to pay such and such percent or flat fee. So as a seller, you now have more flexibility and you're not required to offer out any incentives up front. Again, there are always going to be situations where it probably is a good idea, but you don't have to do it up front, right? And the situations are going to range from area to area, location to location. So this could reduce your selling cost, which makes you more money because at the end of the day, when you are listing your home for sale, it's all about the net amount. It's all about what you're going to net at the end of the day between the purchase price, the closing costs that you have as a seller. What is your net amount? That's the most important thing. And that's what you need to focus on all the time, in my opinion. Especially if you receive multiple offers with various commission arrangements, right? So let's just say you have 2 offers, right? And they are at the same price. They're at 500,000. Both offers are at 500,000. And you're not offering out any kind of commission up front, not saying that you're not willing to negotiate. You're just not doing it up front because you don't want to show all of your cards. You want to negotiate from a position of power rather than giving away everything. Let's say you have these 2 offers, 500,000. The one asks for the whatever percent that they want as a buyer's agent commission. And let's say the other one doesn't. Okay. They say, "Hey, my buyer is willing to pay me. I don't need anything from you. I want my offer to be stronger. I want my offer to actually stand out." Okay. So that means that you didn't divulge anything. So of course you're going to go with the offer that's going to net you more money. It makes more sense, as long as the terms make sense. So in this scenario, I'm saying the offer price is the same, the terms are exactly the same, except for one of the buyer's agents is asking for such and such percent to go towards their buyer agent commission. Okay. So again, this is why it's really important that you don't want to divulge this information up front, because there are ramifications to that, right? Because you can, again, put your, if you already said, oh, well, I'm willing to give such and such percent, then you're gonna have to go back and say, okay, I want to ask for highest and best, and someone could offer 2 or 3 grand more, and that's not gonna send, it'll net you more, but it won't net you as much as if you had not disclosed what you're willing to offer. You follow me there? Let me know in the chat if you're following. It makes sense. I can absolutely explain a little bit more if you have questions. So anyway, that's really important. That is a strategic move. Rather than offering out the standard buyer agent commission, allow agents to include the commission in their offer. PIITO. Put it in the offer, man. This puts a responsibility on the buyer side and gives you greater control. And then you also have to think in terms of, okay, when you're selling, you're also most likely going to be a future buyer, right? So you're going to be right back in that position, but you're going to understand what is happening now. And it's great to have that understanding up front about what is happening now, because the more educated you are, the more empowered you are, and the better decisions that you can make with your agent, right? It's very important for you to do. So if you're planning to purchase after selling a home, prepare to work closely with the buyer's agent to understand the commission terms in your offer, and make sure your offer reflects not only the price, but the buyer's agent's compensation as well. And that's always something that you can do, right? You can bake the commission into the offer, meaning you can offer more than the asking price. So essentially, once you sell your home and then you become a buyer, if you don't want to pay out of pocket whatever percent, you got to bake it into the sale price of the home that you're offering on. Okay. That is the essence of the co-op compensation moving forward. And it's just really important to review everything. It's really important for you to understand what is happening with the sale of your home, and don't just be accepting any offer, right? And this is why I always talk about, it's so important for you to understand working with a great agent is going to help you to decipher, like, what is good in an offer. What does this offer actually entail? Because again, it's a lot of times it's about terms, and it's not always about just the price, right? It's all the terms. It's the settlement date, it's the earnest money deposit, it's the inspections, it's appraisal, it's like so much more than just finances. And you really need to understand that moving forward, and make sure that you're putting everything into the offer. So the next part about this discussion today is buyers are focused on long-term value. So what does that mean for you as a seller, right? Because there has been a big shift since the pandemic. And since things have become, honestly, so unaffordable, and with housing being so unaffordable, and just like the daily strappings of life being so unaffordable, buyers are more focused on long-term value. So in today's current real estate market, buyers are increasingly cautious, prioritizing properties that present clear long-term value over short-term perks, right? So like, what are those short-term perks? And a lot of times people look at homes through a vanity standpoint. And it's like, okay, well, does it have a nice kitchen? Does it have a nice bathroom, floors, things like that? Like vanity, things that you can fix over time. Many buyers, particularly in an uncertain economy, are looking for homes that don't require substantial additional investments after they purchase, right? So the short-term things are those things that are, already done, ready to go, but they want something that is more long term. They want to see themselves in your house long term without having to put in a substantial amount of money, right? There always will be that handy buyer that's willing to buy a house as is, fix it up over time. From what we're seeing in the markets, and here in Chester County, it's a little bit different, right? Because I'm in the greater Philadelphia area, so I pretty much serve Philly and all the surrounding counties as well as the Poconos. And in my that's like the big market, and then like a sub market is pretty much where I live in Chester County in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. People are paying a lot of money for homes that actually still need to be updated over time, right? So that's why when I always talk about this, you have to really take it with a grain of salt and understand that your market is different than my market. It's completely different, right? So the houses that are selling here for 500,000, they could still need a kitchen remodel, a bathroom remodel, floors, roofs, and things like that. But people are willing to pay for it because they want to be here. But the majority of buyers really want something long term. They really want something that they're not going to have to invest too much time, money, and maintenance in, because everything is so damn expensive, right? Everything is so expensive. So, and I do believe that it's going to change moving into 2025. But as a seller, you need to focus on presenting um, a well-maintained quality property, right? That's key. Well-maintained quality property. Ooh, I think my camera might have went out. Let me see. Yeah, the camera went out. Uh-oh. I'm about to switch over to my sorry about that. That's the first time that happened. My webcam. Oh, this quality is not that great. I apologize for that. Let me see. Try and do some 4K. I don't know if that's going to work. No, that's not going to work. Okay. Sorry about the quality there. Oh man, we're gonna roll with it because that's what we do. That's what we do. I apologize for that. But look, what I was saying is showcasing a well-maintained property is something that is very important for you to do moving forward in 2025. Highlight if you have it, I would highly suggest that you do it, but you want to start highlighting um energy efficiency. That's important today. It's very important today. And have that in mind when you're having things replaced, like your water heater, your HVAC system, your windows, right? If you're getting solar, energy efficiency moving forward is going to be very, very important, right? Because we're experiencing how expensive things are, right? How expensive things are. And people they aren't down with it. They're not happy with it, and we can go back to this at any time, right? I do think it's going to get better, but people understand that energy efficiency and saving is very important. So when you're thinking about making updates to your home, have that in the back of your head, like, okay, is this energy efficient? Is this going to help reduce cost? Because reducing costs and being able to, and this is like from a strategic standpoint for sellers moving forward, highlight any of these recent updates, anything that adds value and gives buyers confidence in your home's condition, because that reduces negotiation points, right? If your home is in really good shape when you're selling it, it's going to reduce the amount of things that buyers are going to ask for post negotiation or post inspection reports, right? Because look, here's the thing. The inspection contingency period is the number one reason why deals fall out of contract. Number one, hands down, it's always been that way. So that means that after a buyer has a home inspection, they're going to come back and they're going to ask for this, they're going to ask for that. So you want to really set yourself up for success and understand that if you have taken care of your home, if you have done everything to it that you need to in order to make sure that it's in great shape, then you're going to reduce the amount of negotiation points, and it's going to help the deal get to the settlement table faster and with less complication. I can't say that enough. So, and then in turn, because you're going to become a future buyer, so that means look for properties that require little maintenance or come with recent updates. In a market where initial purchase prices are high, homes that offer long-term value and low maintenance costs are more attractive than ever. I think we obviously need way more new construction homes, so that's going to be much more appealing to buyers as well because again, they're not taking on a home that was built in 1970 that's going to need constant maintenance over time. All right, let's move into the next part, which is transparency is key. And if you didn't hear me earlier, I was saying that I believe that transparency is one of the best things that has come out of the lawsuit and moving forward with how agents are interacting with sellers and buyers. Because again, we know it's difficult talking about money. It is, and agents historically have done a bad job with showing value and talking about how they are compensated and that things are negotiable. So transparency is so key. Be upfront and forthcoming. You will never go wrong being upfront and forthcoming. Never, right? It's vitally important for you moving forward. Buyers have access to a ton of information, more than ever before, right? And that means that being transparent is key because if you get caught doing whatever or not disclosing something, right, you're just gonna it's gonna make everything so much worse. So a detailed home inspection, disclosures, and open communication are essential to building trust with buyers. Can you imagine buying? Because, and I know some people do this, but buying a used car, right? Say you go to Toyota, you're buying a used car, and it's not previously inspected. So Toyota purchased the car, just looked at it, cleaned it out, didn't really do a full inspection, and then just put it on the market for you to buy. So you have no idea what you're actually buying, right? But that's why these car companies sell certified pre-owned. Certified pre-owned. So they certify it. They do inspections before they bring it to the open market. And I think that's something that you should highly consider when you're selling your home. You want to make sure that you're providing people with a great product, right? That one of the absolute best ways that you can do that as a home seller is to make sure that you are having it inspected ahead of time. That way, you can address any issues up front, such as maintenance records, minor repairs, and things that need attention, right? Because buyers are wary of hidden issues. They are more educated now, just like you are more educated now than ever before. And they don't want to buy something that's going to need a ton of work. Again, and I always have to say this, there are always, not always, but there are times where people are buying homes. Like around here, we live in an area in my county, Chester County, Pennsylvania. We have homes that are historic homes. We have homes that were built in the 1700s and the 1800s and the very early 1900s. This house that I'm in was built in 1935. A home that was built in the 1700s, 1800s, it's going to need maintenance, a lot of maintenance over time, more so. Maybe not though. I don't know. It depends on a home. If you buy a new construction home, it really depends on the builder anymore. But generally, if you buy a new construction home, you're not going to have to put that much maintenance into it up front as you would buying a home that was built in the 1800s, right? And that is very appealing to a small portion of buyers around here. People want that historic home. They love historic charm. They love everything about that. I mean, look, I honestly don't ever want to buy a home that was built in 1935 or before anymore because I own two properties now that were built in the 1930s, and it's always something, right? It's always something. It's always a pain. But for the most part, buyers want something that is ready, ready to go, right? It's already something that is taken care of. You have disclosed upfront. You have been transparent the whole time. You filled out your seller's disclosure to the best of your ability. You had a pre-listing home inspection. You took care of all. Not you don't have to take care of everything either. I'm not saying you have to take care of every little thing, but at least right, those big items that would come up in a home inspection report. You've already addressed that. You've already come across it, and it's not. I'm not saying that you have to go paint every little chip paint area in the house, things like that. I'm really talking about like the medium to bigger size things that you want to take care of and you want to be ahead of, right? So, as a strategic move, get a pre-listing home inspection, which I was just talking about. That uncovers any hidden issues before buyers bring their inspectors. And then this way, like you're building trust, right? That trust factor is so important right now. It's so important to build trust with buyers because they're wary right now, right? They're on defense. They're with everything that's happening. It's just like within the economy, it's like they're already people are so stressed out right now. That doesn't make sense to it makes sense to alleviate that stress when you're selling your home. Help alleviate the stress that people are already feeling by doing these things up front. And then as a future buyer, right, you're going to use the seller's transparency to your advantage. And this is important. Look for homes where sellers are proactive with inspections and disclosures, reducing your risk and negotiating time. So it's twofold, right? So when you do it for other people and then it comes back to you, right? That's just how life works. So that's important. And this goes really well into the next topic, which is buyers want move in ready. So the shift from buyers is they are looking for homes that are more move in ready. Again, they don't want to do a lot of work, especially in a cautious market. They prefer this move in ready property over fixer uppers. That doesn't mean that fixer uppers won't sell. Fixer uppers will always sell. There's always going to be investors, and again, there's always going to be those handy buyers that are willing to put in the work over time. But for the most part, they're less willing to take on renovation costs and time investments. Investors and these handy buyers, they make up a small portion of the buyer pool. The vast majority of people are either first time home buyers or second time home buyers, and they want something that's more move in ready. So make those necessary cosmetic repairs to ensure your home appeals to that move-in ready buyer. Again, I know there's always some kind of constraint, whether it's time or finances. So, if you can't, that's where you rely a lot on the transparency piece. Like if you don't have the finances, if you don't have the time to actually invest into fixing up those cosmetic things, updating kitchens and things like that, even small investments will go a long way, okay? Like a fresh paint. And I say this all the time, dude. Fresh paint will go so far. Landscaping, you can do it yourself. That's going to go so far as well. They're going to boost appeal. They're going to boost value, perceived value, and real value, right? So if you don't have the finances to put 20, 30, 40, $50,000 into a kitchen and 10, 15, $20,000 in the bathrooms, just try and work on those small investments that you can make, like paint, like landscaping, flooring, lighting, and things like that. Like they are going to help you sell your home. It's going to help increase value, and it's going to help the sellability of your property as well. As a strategic move, focusing on first impressions. I don't want to get too far on that because that's what I'm going to focus on with you next. But first impressions are huge. They really are. And then as a future buyer, look for homes that meet your criteria in terms of move and readiness to avoid repair costs in high rate markets. And that's another thing. Like a lot of people are again, the purchasing a home right now is expensive. You have the mortgage rates were expensive, the down payments, right? It's, obviously you can get 0% down payments or 3.5 if you're doing FHA, but then you have to pay property taxes, which are going up. And then you have to pay property insurance, which is going up. And then just the cost of maintenance and making repairs has gone up so much since 2020. So it's very expensive to own a property. It's very expensive for you to be selling a property and then turning that over to someone and in turn having them, take on these costs. That's why it's good if you can do it ahead of time, make sure that you do it because it's going to help you sell. And this leads us into our last point, which is always one of my favorite, and it's digital marketing and media are key. I want to get this out to every seller, to every single real estate agent as well. That positioning your home is the most important one of the most important things you can do when you're selling it. The absolute best way to do that is through digital marketing and through high quality media, right? I still see it, and it's the most frustrating thing in the world, but, like, I still see agents taking pictures on their cell phone, $750,000 listings. They're in the bathroom, right, taking a picture of the mirror, and they're in the damn picture. It's like, "Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life?" Like, that is not a professional. That is not a professional, okay? If you have someone representing you to sell a $750,000 home where they're potentially going to make a crazy amount of money, and they can't invest hundreds of dollars, thousands, right, into professional quality media and marketing for your home, they are not a professional. That person is not setting you up for success, okay? Buyers today, I would venture to say 100% of buyers today start their search online and may not see the property in person until later. Okay. They're always looking on Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, truly at first. So high quality digital media and even virtual tours, they're going to attract really serious buyers and remote buyers, people that are looking for from other states, right? It is so important to do this. It is so important for your agent to do this because you only get one chance to make a good first impression. Like, you only get one chance. But I understand that in some markets where inventory is so low, let's just say there's a buyer who's been looking in a specific area for a year and they've saw all these properties come up in this one neighborhood. They made offers, they couldn't get them accepted, and another property comes up on the market in that neighborhood. So they have a good feel for it. And they're like, I don't really care about the photos. Like, I need to get in this house. I want to be in this. Right. Of course, that's going to happen. But the vast majority of people are looking online. And if you have two houses side by side, exactly the same, one has low quality agent cell phone pictures, the other one has high quality HDR photos. They have 4K video walkthrough. They have drone shots. They have neighborhood shots, an amazing listing description, all over social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and TikTok, right? That house is going to 100% attract more buyers to it. And that means that you're potentially going to get more offers and sell for over asking price with better terms compared to the one who has none of that. Like, that is the truth. That just happens. That's how it is in real estate, right? So positioning yourself, um, positioning your home in the right way online first is very important, right? And then you're a future or invest in, like, your agent needs to be investing in digital marketing, which with the strong visual focus, hands down, period, point blank. As a future buyer, you're going to experience this as well. As a future buyer, you're going to be like, okay, this house looks like crap, man. I don't know what they're doing here. I might not even want to go see it compared to the one that looks amazing. Um, that's going to really draw your attention. So that's what I have for you guys today. That was the majority, or yeah, that's everything. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Um, again, I feel bad. I wanted to do a quick segment afterwards, but I'm just feeling really run down, man. I'm sick, but I'm glad I was able to get on this with you. And as always, if you need a great agent referral anywhere in the US, if you're considering selling, you want to work with me to help you find the right agent for you that's going to do a great job. Um, my brokerage is 22,000 agents now all across the US and Canada. So I can link you up with a great agent that can help you. And if you are looking in greater Philadelphia, Philly, the surrounding counties, or the Pocono Mountains, you need to sell your home, click that link in the description. Look forward to speaking with you guys soon and have an awesome day.